What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Major Push Wrestling, the talk show where we give wrestling the major push that it deserves. I am once again joined by Dave Sheffler, part of the No DQ Review Florida chapter. I am your host, Papa Gino Nashef, and we are here to talk to you about wrestling. First off, Dave, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Gino. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, my pleasure. And again, it looks like we got the audio stuff kind of taken care of, so the mouth should be matching the words. And thank you to everybody who is watching along in the live chat or whether it's on demand. We really appreciate it very much. And so we got a good episode planned for you guys today. The thing that I want to talk about and the question that I wanted to pose to Dave here more specifically is regarding the bloodline. Now, one of the, if not the greatest storyline post pandemic in any wrestling on the planet is and was the Bloodline saga with led by Roman Reigns with the battles of his tribal chief Dum and the Ulafala and all of the things that have led to that. We've had Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu to a certain degree, right? Because it's kind of bloodline adjacent. And now we got Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, JC Mateo, and Tala Tonga by extension. But the main storyline of the bloodline was Roman Reigns with his wise man, Paul Heyman, and his cousins, the Usos, and Solo Sikoa, who is the brother of the Uso twins. Now, back when this was going on, again, this was top-notch wrestling storytelling, but it's great because it's not really a story. It's real life essentially because they are all related and the bloodline and the Samoans, they essentially run wrestling. Now, it kind of came to an end when Cody finished his story and Solo split off, basically right around the time Netflix debuted, because I believe they had the Ulafala Tribal Chief match between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa on the debut of Netflix, Raw on Netflix. So it basically ended, just over a year ago. And we've had Solo taking the reins of that, doing his best. But on Monday Night Raw this past week, we had a very bloodline-esque situation where, again, Roman wasn't there, crazy, but the Usos were coming to defend the honor of their family and, by extension, Roman Reigns, who was, yes, their family, but they were defending the comment against Roman's father and their uncles. So, with that being said, the Usos attacked CM Punk. And we talked about it on the No DQ review. The whole idea of who's right, who's wrong, whose side are you on? But CM Punk said a very legitimate point that Roman Reigns never apologized to the Usos, in particular Jey Uso, probably because Roman took a back seat and allowed Jey to have his World Heavyweight Championship run, winning the Royal Rumble, all that stuff. So maybe that's his way of apologizing. Kayfabe, whatever. But on TV, he never really said, "I'm sorry for how I treated you." And I don't believe that Roman Reigns is sorry for how he treated them. And now with the Usos back together and they're defending Roman Reigns and his father and the uncle with the Wild Samoans. I want to ask you, Dave, and for everybody watching along, what do you think? Let us know in the comments. But are we headed towards a bloodline reunion? Maybe as soon as WrestleMania? So, question part A, Dave, is are we heading towards a bloodline reunion? And part B is will it then continue after we get a reunion? The floor is yours.
It's a great question. It's a lot to think about. But when you said, is the bloodline over? Maybe, maybe not. I think it's been on and off since that day that Cody finished the story. Because you've seen them meet back up to help out each other, even including Sami Zayn at times. So I think the story's kind of continued, but it's been pretty much laid to rest for a while ever since the MFTs, because they used to call it the Temu Bloodline, and now it's the MFTs because I think Solo didn't want that name. I think they were trying to get off that name a little bit. I was really confused because I really thought Solo was going to be kicked out sooner and ending up back on the Bloodline side, but it never happened. I do not think it's gonna. I think it's kind of going to continue, but in bits and pieces. I think you'll see them come together, kind of like the Shield did. Because remember, the Shield, it backed off and then it backed on several times in and out. So I think it may look like it's going to be gone, but it's not. It's never going to be really gone. So to answer your question, I think they are going to come together. And really, even though Roman's a good guy now, has he really changed since the guy that was the tribal chief? Because he's still the OTC, still does the ones in the air. I don't think he ever changed. I think the story changed and people started to cheer him instead of boo him. I don't think the characters changed. And he's still showing up the way he did back then, too. The only difference is when he's in a match, he doesn't cheat to win or have people, unless somebody else on the other side will go after him, and then he gets his help. But the way Punk brought it up, your boys, that term we haven't heard since the main Bloodline days when Cody was fighting him. So I kind of think, to answer, coming in a roundabout way to answer the question, I don't think the Bloodline's ever going to die totally. I think you'll just see it come together when they need to protect each other. Because I don't think that's ever going to leave. I think Roman's always going to back up Jay and Jimmy. Jimmy and even Fatu. I think Fatu maybe will see a point of this where he'll be involved a little bit. But that's down the road, I think, because I think he may be the one that Roman passes it off to, because really he's still new in the business with WWE. He's got a great reaction when he got off the all gas, no brakes and started really talking. The guy has personality. He can talk, he can go in the ring, and I think he's a perfect part to be with all of them together, whether it be in a war game situation at one point or another. Again, because somewhere along the line, they got to meet with the MFCs. And this is going to have to end totally, because I think Solo's going to end up being kicked out. He does not fit. We've all talked about it. All these guys with face paint and not him. He doesn't fit in that because it's not his true family. He's going to end up in the end with his family somewhere along the line, because Solo is a great character. They crap on him, but I think they put him in a bad situation. I think he's very funny. He's got a great personality. He can go in the ring, because you've seen him go in the ring in the King of the in the last tournament he was in. He could go.
The last time is now for John Cena. Yep.
Mm-hmm. He can go. He definitely can go. But I think, and I've gone out long-winded about this, but I really do think the Bloodline's continuing. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Dave, I tend to agree with you. For until they're all gone and everything like that, but even then they have kids. I think it will always kind of have that connective tissue. Now, I kind of feel like we're heading towards like an official, like on-screen stable again. Roman theoretically is going to be winning the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. I cannot imagine him losing multiple non-multi-man without the Royal Rumble, he would have lost how many pay-per-views in a row, premium live events in a row, or how many WrestleManias in a row. So I just can't fathom Roman losing. And I think that they could very much just bring it right back to head of the table, tribal chief, the Usos, who are the tag team champions, and the MFT stuff. They're also the other tag team champions. So you've got the opportunity to have that. Now, you mentioned Jacob Fatu, and I was really high on him when he was backing up Solo. Like, Solo was, nobody wanted to bring him in because he's just too much of a loose cannon, wild card, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, he got hurt, but when they split him up with Solo, I thought that was far too soon to be splitting him up. Whether he's great in the ring or a great talker, it doesn't matter. The I Love You Solo, they didn't even have merch yet. Like, they killed that way too soon. And now they're trying to scramble with the JC Mateos of the world and stuff to replace that for Solo's right hand man. And theoretically, if they were going strong, and you had Roman's bloodline strong and Solo's bloodline strong, and they really built them up like with the MFTs and stuff. But Jacob Fatu was on Solo's side, like, and then you could have had dissension in the ranks, like Roman's trying to convince Jacob, like, you're following the wrong tribal chief and all that stuff. And then you could have hit him with the "I hate you" Solo, and I think like in like a War Games match or something, and it could have been way more impactful. But that's that fantasy booking. That's the what ifs, and we're living in the future with this. And I do believe that there's a good chance that Roman, Jay, and Jimmy are going to be a faction of sorts, if you will, moving forward. And that could be a good way to have Roman Reigns' presence felt when inevitably he is not on the television shows weekly, which stinks, but I do understand. Like, if somebody paid me freaking multiple $1 million to barely wrestle, barely talk, barely even be on the show. Like, when last time we saw Roman Reigns on Raw, there was 10 minutes left of the show. So, yeah, that's an easy day at the office. All he had to do was get his dad crap talked on, which is unfortunate, but he just has to kind of stand there and emote. So, really not a lot. Obviously, he had to go toe to toe with CM Punk on the mic for a little bit, but that's way easier than a 20, 30-minute match, I would imagine. Uh, so, I think that would be in WWE's best interest. The thing that I've been calling for with the bloodline is they need some women in the bloodline that are bloodline women. Every other faction, Judgment Day, Wyatt Six, the Alpha Academy at the time, like I was saying, like they all have women, and you really can't do anything because you're not going to have the guys hit the gals. So, like, they could have brought in Nia Jax, who was part of the bloodline. They could have brought
Mm-hmm.
in Naomi, who is married into the bloodline and is officially part of the bloodline. Hopefully everything goes well with her pregnancy and giving birth and stuff. But, like, being a mom of uh part of the Samoan bloodline makes you in the Samoan bloodline. It reminds me of that great movie directed by Zack Snyder called 300. And the King Leonidas' wife stepped up and spoke to the messenger. And he goes, "Who is this woman who thinks she can speak among men?" And she says, "Only Spartan women give birth to true men." And, like, you could really have Naomi fill that type of Queen Naomi role. Only I am giving birth to the future of the bloodline type of stuff. Like, there's a lot that they could do with that. I hope they don't just have them do the run-ins and the saves and help them win, because if Roman wins another championship match, either by retaining or gaining the championship through nefarious means, like, I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. And I really hope that CM Punk roasts him for that instead of having a passed away father, which is very low hanging fruit, as we talked about on the review. Like, talk about how you haven't won a match clean in forever. You haven't done this. You haven't done that. You need bloodline rules. You need your family intervening, blah, 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 blah. Like, everybody from his matches with Drew, matches with Sammy, matches with LA Knight, matches with Logan Paul, matches with all these guys. Cody the first time, like
Kevin
it's
Owens.
yeah, Kevin Owens, like all of these gentlemen got screwed over and had and are right to be upset at Roman Reigns. And Kevin Owens hated that Sami Zayn kind of made up with them and did that War Games, like you said. We've kind of had them be have each other's backs, and they will have each other's backs as family members. But as far as like a stable, a faction, and we know Triple H loves his factions, I think that there's some more mileage to be had out of that, and potentially the MFTs versus the Bloodline, like officially, and all that stuff coming out of WrestleMania. But so it sounds like you believe or you believe that the uh, Bloodline will be commingling and will never truly go away and really hasn't gone away. I'm just hoping to potentially see if Roman's not going to be there week in and week out or 3 weeks out of a month when he's the champion leaving WrestleMania. I think that it'll be disappointing if the Usos aren't then part of the faction and it's just, well, the champion's not here type of thing. Because then CM Punk's going to roast him for, hey, he beat me, but he went away. Hopefully, he doesn't beat him clean if that's the case, because it's really hard to talk crap on somebody who beats you clean and barely wrestles when you're wrestling night in and night out, unless you say, well, I was tired, at which point your last championship match wasn't for 6 weeks before that. So all these types of things. But yeah, Dave. So any thoughts on, would you like to see Naomi or Nia Jax joining in on the Bloodline storyline, or would you like to just see the boys kind of pick it up?
I totally agree with you. And we've been talking about that in the review for years now. That Naomi should have been a part of it. There's no doubt they had no, it would have been the perfect place for her when she came back. It would have been, she would have fit right in. But also, Nia would have really fit in well, only because she really hasn't ever really flown on her own. And I think she's better in a group. And because she was monstrous, she's a killer. So would have fit well. I don't talk much about AEW, but the one thing about the Death Riders, even though they can be a pain sometimes, I think that made Marina Shafir. Shafir really had nowhere to go. She's the muscle of that group as a woman. She's probably tougher than some of the guys in the group. And I think Nia would have fit well too. Um, but they need, I think you're right, because I think they need to add, if they're going to keep the bloodline going a little bit, like I think they need to add layers to the story at this point, because we can't do the same thing we did for the 4 years of the great 4 year run. We got to add layers now, because it is a family true story. You're pulling right here. If you want to continue it, you definitely can, and that's where the writers have to come up with something, because I really think they could have gold still here. It may not be the gold that we saw, because there'll never be anything like the beginning of that bloodline run again. There'll never be anything like when Sammy joined. I mean, they came up with gold during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they could get gold again here. And another thing about Roman winning, um, if you would have had me on, if I would have been on last night, I probably would have, it would have been the first time I got to really disagree with Virtue, because as much as he loves Roman, and I said it in one of my chats that I put in last night, if Roman wins, you got to see him around more, because Aaron was right. He cannot, if he's not going to be around more, he cannot win. It's got to be Punk, because you can't. We've gone through this with him. We've gone through it with Brock Lesnar. We can't. You got to have a champion who's around. The one thing about Punk, like you said, even as old as and as fragile as he was prior, he's been there week in, week out, no matter what, which is nice to see the champion there.
Right.
Same with Cody. As much as I'm getting bored with Cody at this point,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think he really needs to change too. But we've talked about that to death with Aaron. But I think really, unless if there's no plans for Roman to have any kind of roles coming up, And if he's going to be around more, I think he will win at WrestleMania for sure. Because it's been a while since he's had a title. But otherwise, we got to see CM Punk continue it and maybe see a turn in the story of whoever is going to go face or heel, because we got all these faces in the main events in WrestleMania. Someone's going to be turning. At least one person. You got to think at least one person out of those two main events are going to turn at this point. Because otherwise, if it's two faces, that's why Orton and Rhodes have got to do something towards what Reigns and Punk are doing. Because otherwise, it's going to be, you're my friend, you're my friend, you're my friend. That's going to get tiring. That's why, as much, even though I know the fantasy booking, we want Cody to turn, I'm afraid that I think Aleister Black will have something to do with Orton turning. It's like Karrion Kross Part 2, who couldn't get Sammy to turn bad, but I think possibly he's going to be it's going to be encouraging into Randy finally turning back. Because I kept thinking after his bad injury that he was going to stay face the rest of his time because he's getting up there in age, but now I'm starting to question it, and you got to see. I mean, he already proved it with the RKO in the chamber, because Cody did exactly what Sammy did in their match. He went after Drew instead of looking behind him, and he got caught. And I think Orton really wants 15. It's been 15 this, 15 that, and that's where I almost disagree with Aaron. I know the movie's coming, but I kind of feel Orton winning at WrestleMania. I don't know why. He's only had two main events there in his career. As great as he's been, I think really this is his time. I don't know why. I just have a feeling.
You know, you make a lot of good points there. I do think that they learned see, WWE likes to learn maybe sometimes the wrong lesson with situations. And I think they learned that people late in their careers that fans want to cheer, they're just going to keep them babyface, like Cena with the Cena thing. I think they realized that, I could argue the benefits of the Cena heel turn, and I will to anybody who wants to at me. But I think WWE learned that if people want to cheer somebody, let's just let them cheer them. But at the same time, they're not letting us cheer Dom. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, dude, we've got a lot of good things coming up in WrestleMania. They're four baby faces fighting, but two of them hate each other and two of them are former friends. So maybe that can be the difference in the storyline. We will have to see. But thank you so much for joining me, Dave. I really appreciate you and your time and your availability to be on here. Thank you, everybody else, for watching. Let us know in the comment section. Do you agree? Do you not want to see the Bloodline continue? Do you not want WWE to potentially ruin it, which they have the tendency to do when things that they draw out? Do you think it could be another booming period for WWE in a time that's usually not that booming, the post WrestleMania, before SummerSlam type of time zone? Whatever you think, again, comment in the comment section and let us know. Dave, where can the people find you? Oh, you're muted. Dave, you're muted. Oh, I cannot hear you. Folks, we are having technical difficulties. That's okay. Dave doesn't really like to plug things. Just check him out on the No DQ review when he's available to be on Tuesdays. And you can see him right here on Major Push Wrestling last week and this week. And we will have more of these takes. We appreciate it. Dave. We got all of your takes and all the stuff you wanted to share. I don't know what's going on with it, maybe with the headphones, but this tends to happen and we roll with it. So thank you so much to Dave. And as always, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. It means the world to me. And we'll interact with all the comments that we see. Don't forget to share this with a friend who likes wrestling. And if you want to be a guest on the show, reach out to me and I will let you know. So from Dave, the wonderful wrestling mind of his, to me, Papa Gino, thank you so much for watching. And as always, catch you on the next one. Bye bye.